This was another one, a very convincing one, and this one feels different than the last two Boston games, and I'll tell you why.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. With me as usual, my co-host Brian McKeon. Brian.
3 wins in a row?
What is this madness? What is this? It's a great feeling, but it feels odd.
Yeah, not used to it.
Oh my goodness. Before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast on whichever podcasting platform you easier said than done, prefer listening to, because that's the listening part. Then, you could do both. Do both. Subscribe to us audio, and then also subscribe to our YouTube channel. You like our videos, hit the bell so you know when they go up. And when we have live streams, you can watch us do goofy things. It's fun.
Like
on today's show. Yeah, like this. On today's show, we'll preview game 2 against the Phillies. We'll keep you up to date on all the trades around baseball because some might affect the Yankees, even if the Yankees aren't directly involved. But first, are the Bronx Bombers back?
It appears so, right? They're hitting a lot of home runs, that's for sure. Judge somehow at 99 RBIs already through the month of July, which is, I mean, thinking that's absolute madness to have those numbers at this point. 3 in a row, and 3. You don't want to get ahead of yourself, but 3 convincing wins in a row, right? Like 3 really well played games, 3 games where they scored a lot of runs. They got ahead early. They got at it early, which is something that the team hasn't done a lot lately. It does feel like potentially Jazz Chisholm has driven some kind of energy into this clubhouse, right? And gotten them moving a little bit. Not saying it's all on one player coming in. Right. And I still don't think they're done before what is it, tomorrow or 2 days from now. I don't think they're going to be done. I think there will be moves made, but it feels like too a lot of the we'll get into in the next segment, but it does feel like there's a lot of noise and a lot of chatter about moves being made. But this was another one, a very convincing one, and this one feels different than the last two Boston games, and I'll tell you why. Philadelphia, although they've been reeling of late and they've kind of been middling out, they are one of the better teams in all of baseball, potentially the best team in all of baseball. And I mean, from the start to get out and get after them on their home field against their best pitcher in their rotation, you really can't ask for more out of this game. I mean, it not a game you were expecting out of this offense, especially over the last 2 months.
No. And it's actually been 4 games now where they've scored a bunch because they scored, 7 on Friday night in the loss too. So, and you're getting contributions from everyone at this point, Austin Wells has been on fire the past 10 games that he's played.
And to credit, before you get on to the next one, I just want to mention this too, because me and you, and specifically you more than me this season, has been highlighting how good Austin Wells has been all year, how he's been hitting the ball on the nose, how he's been really he's been on fire, really hitting the ball hard all year. It's just in the beginning of the year, it felt like he was in that rump where he was hitting it to other guys. Right. And he wasn't fine in the open field. And now he is, and you're really seeing those numbers start to flourish, start to go up. And I think you mentioned this early on in the season too. It wasn't productive for him to not get consistent play time, especially as a younger player. And now you're seeing it because of the Trevino injury. He's getting play time every single day, and it's clearly helping him out a lot.
Yeah, it's amazing what he's done. So the Yankees hit 6 home runs, 2 from Judge, which isn't a surprise.
No.
But 2 from Jazz Chisholm, which is a surprise because 1 was opposite field, which was, I didn't even think that ball was getting out. I mean, it barely got out, but it got out. And I actually scared the dog. I'm dog sitting because she was sleeping on the couch while I was watching the game. And I forgot that she was there. And I was like, I said an expletive because I was very excited. I was like, wow,
not
holy cow.
Not around the puppy.
Not around the puppy, my God. But it's just great. They're undefeated since they traded for him. So
Mhm.
It's pretty good. But, you have Judge, Chisholm, and Rice all hitting home runs off Zack Wheeler. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. No, it's something that you weren't expecting, and it does happen more often than not with especially like good pitchers around the league. And you got a
Yeah.
really good start at a heel too, right? You got exactly what you would have wanted out of heel going into this game, and Wheeler didn't show up for them. That's the scary part about this Phillies team is tomorrow you get Nola. And then the next, so you do always see great pitching coming up against this Phillies team, especially with their offense combined. They are a really unbelievable team.
Yeah.
But again, you gotta like how it seems like there's a mindset change somewhere in this organization because they have come out attacking every single game these last 4 games. They have come out quick and early and trying to score early and trying to set a tone. Remember, we
You
were
mean
saying
like what they were doing in April and May?
that's exactly the point that I was making. Remember, from a gambling perspective, they set a record of the team to break that no-run first inning bet of any team in Major League history. They had more no-run first inning failed bets against the Yankees than any other team in Major League history going through the first 2 months of the year because they were scoring in the first inning almost every single game. And that is a key to success too, especially going up against another good pitcher and having your pitcher going up early too. When you go in, we talked this before, when you go into a game, especially as a young pitcher like Heel with a lead, it makes a complete difference than going into the game without a lead. And
Right.
you saw it in this game today. The Yankees get out to an early start, and Heel was he a complete ace and utterly dominant all game? No, but he was good enough. He was good enough for what they needed, right? 5 1/3, 3 runs, 5 hits, 8 Ks. It's what you asked out of him. And he can pitch with a lot more confidence, a lot more swagger when you go into a game with the lead.
Right. Yeah, I did enjoy that one strikeout he had on Harper because Harper looked a little silly swinging through strike 3, and it was just like, wow, that's
Hard to make him look silly too.
that's amazing. Yeah. So, a few things. The Wells triple. He hit it to the perfect spot, and the way the ball bounced off the wall, and he was just chugging around the bases because there were 2 outs. So he was just running as fast as he could. But I mean, he was at third really quickly. And Joe Girardi made a joke about it on about a catcher hitting a triple because as we all remember. Yeah.
He could be a key factor, Wells. He really could in this lineup. And especially with the way that he really hasn't played at the start of this year. If he can get going now, it's almost like adding another trade acquisition. It really is.
Much.
With a big hitter in the middle of your lineup like that, he really, I mean, he's done it all year. It felt like at the start of the year he wasn't finding the gaps, and now he's driving the ball into open field, and he's become a really lethal hitter over the last week or two.
Yep, that was the first major league triple of his career. Soto with the 2-run double in the same inning. Judge's home run, the second one, gave him 99 runs driven in on the season on July 29th. I mean, that's just absolutely ludicrous. Also ludicrous, listen to this fun fact. I found this on Twitter and I thought it was amazing. Hank Aaron and Aaron Judge have each hit 3 home runs at Philadelphia during Dan Baker's tenure as public address announcer. He started back in 1972, and when Bob Shepard passed away, he became the longest tenured PA announcer in Major League Baseball.
And it's still over 50 years, but 1972 doesn't feel as long as Bob Shepard was doing it.
Right, because when did he start again? 51?
Bob Shepard was I think it was in the 40s, actually. Let me confirm that for you. I'll do it right
confirm
now.
that for me. So Volpe hits a 2-run shot. Soto has another RBI double, this time in the 8th inning. Jazz Chisholm with his second home run was at the top of the 9th. There was a 2-run home run, and he used Aaron Judge's bat. He asked him if he could use it, and he did. He hit a home run, which is...
You're good. Bob Shepard started with the Yankees in 1951. 1948 started with the Giants.
Right. Yeah. I had 51 in my head for some reason other than my Aunt Dolores graduating high school in 1951. But yeah, that's
wow.
Yeah. She was 13 years older than my mother. So there's a big age gap there. But I always remember 1951 for that, and the shot heard around the world with the New York Giants. So yeah. So good game all around. Again, contributions from pretty much everyone, because even, Stanton looked a little rough, but then he got that walk in the 9th inning, and then Chisholm drove him home and made it 14-4.
I will say this interesting points we made about why this, they can win 3 in a row and the manager still doesn't know what he's doing. Why was Stanton kept in the game in the 9th inning?
Right. Right.
I mean, he walks, gets on base. Why would you keep him on base?
Right.
Why would there not be someone?
Maybe he knew because Jazz was taking Judge's bat that he was going to hit a home run with it.
So like, just not. And I get it. You're up 12 runs, right? As a manager, the game doesn't end till the game's over. Mm-hmm. Stanton should not have been in there. And I don't want to complain. I know it's 3 in a row and you don't want to hear me complain, but I'm going to have to point out these examples more and more often.
Right.
It was Stanton coming off an injury, coming off a muscular injury. Why is he running bases that he doesn't need to be running? It made no sense. But, There we go, not thinking about things. But they won, so it's okay.
All right. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notification so you know when our videos go up. Reply to our pinned comment Monday through Thursday. We do Fan Mail Friday every Friday. And if you put your question there, we will probably answer it. Now, on yesterday's show, I said repeat questions. I meant duplicate questions. I mean, sometimes 4 people ask the same question, but worded differently. And I just pick one, at random. So that's what I meant. I realized it when I was rewatching the episode. So I meant duplicate questions. So anyway, Fan Mail Friday, every Friday. Either you leave your questions under our pinned comment or you can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. We send you out roster moves. I sent, the activation of Giancarlo Stanton and the DFA of Jahmai Jones. Send out lineups, stuff like that. And you get text from us. You can text questions. There's a 14-day free trial. So coming up next, we're going to do a roundup about all the trades that the trade market is heating up on.
The trades heard around the world.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. So we're going to go through all of them coming up next. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades, supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business, and you talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trademaster program. Every Trademaster gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from free membership at supplyhouse.com/TM, which stands for Trademaster. You can order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com. Welcome back to Locked On Yankees. Locked On Sports Today is a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the noise. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news. Streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Don't forget, you can catch every pitch of the Yankees hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees. So lots of trades happening in the majors. There was actually a last minute one I had to add to the rundown just before we were going on air because Ahmad Rosario was sent to the Dodgers. But there's a lot of things going on. Wait, you're muted.
There's an even last minute one that just came in. Frankie Montas going to Milwaukee from the Reds. He's had a nice year, actually. Coming off, what else is new? Guy leaving the Yankees, going to have a nice year somewhere else.
Wait, the Brewers, the Reds from the Reds to the Brewers?
Yeah.
Why are the Reds helping the Brewers?
Yeah, I don't know. Makes no sense to me. But
that's
interdivision, especially when the Reds are trying to compete. Not really sure why they would do that.
That's interesting.
I want to go through some of the top storylines so far on the deadline. We will keep you posted all week on what moves are made because I anticipate a lot of moves to be made. First of all, I do want to say this. There is no way the Chisholm move is the last move the Yankees make at the deadline. No. It can't be. There's no way they're going to be all in. I will say this personally, the way I feel and the sense that I have got from a lot of people that are close to the Yankees and know what they're talking about and hearing. Spencer Jones is not untouchable. Dominguez is. I have heard from everybody there is nothing that will get them to move Dominguez. Spencer Jones is most certainly not untouchable. Like I think it is more likely right now on we're recording this on the 29th at night. You'll hear this on the 30th. I think it is more likely as of now that Spencer Jones is dealt rather than kept.
Yeah.
I think because of the situation the team is in, because of the situation the organization is in, this is the year you traded for Soto. You don't know if you're going to re-sign him. You're going to make an attempt to, but you don't know if he'll re-sign here. This could be your only opportunity of judging Soto in a playoff series. And it feels like it is more likely they trade Spencer Jones than not. I think they're really in on Yandy Diaz from the Rays. I think they really want him. They really want to plug him into the middle of the lineup. That would be a really good place to put him. I would not take a lot of credence in Jazz Chisholm playing third base today. I think right now, the way the lineup looks until the 31st is behind us, take with a grain of salt. I think the lineup could look very differently. I think they're actively trying to move Glaber. It feels that way. You get that sense in the organization. They're actively trying to move him. They are definitely actively trying to move Nestor.
Oh, yeah.
There is where there is smoke, there is fire. There is way too much noise around Nestor Cortez and the potential of him being moved. A lot of teams aren't on him because, let's face it, for what he gives the Yankees, we can complain all we want. He's a stable left-hander, and there's not a lot of that in the league. He's a consistent left-hander who gives you, he's a 3 or a 4, but he gives you that every single time out there. There's not a lot of that in the league. There were a lot of people after him. I will tell you this as a Yankee fan, from what I hope. There's a lot of guys that can go out there and get. I hope they stay as far and unimaginably far away from Blake Snell.
Yeah.
Because it looks like he's getting moved.
Right.
And a lot of people are in on him. A lot of people. I don't want to touch him with a 10-foot pole. I don't know about you. I have no desire to see him pitching in the Bronx with a player option for next year at $31 million. No, thank you. I want nothing to do with Blake Snell.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to, I don't know. I feel like if you're going to trade Nestor, you're going to have to bring someone else in, right?
Yeah.
Although
I don't think it's a big name.
But I think they were discussing Jack Flaherty, right?
I would love that. I think that is a low buy, very high upside pitcher that I would absolutely take a move on. One guy I would not take a chance on that I think actually might wind up in Baltimore is Garrett Crochet. I don't think the Yankees are in the Garrett Crochet. If you guys haven't heard, basically they didn't mention anything to the White Sox GM. And then all of a sudden the Garrett Crochet's agent leaked that he will not pitch this year in the postseason unless he is given an extension at the trade deadline to whoever team he's traded to. Because obviously the White Sox aren't making the postseason.
No.
That's a very bold move. And you might be all widening your eyes and shaking your heads that a player would have the nerve to do that. I'll give you a player who did this about 2 years ago and it didn't make as much noise when he did it. Josh Hader.
Oh,
he did this exact same thing with Milwaukee. He told Milwaukee he would not pitch in the postseason. He didn't pitch in the postseason. They traded him to San Diego, and He pitched there for a year, and then the Astros gave him a massive contract. So this does work. And apparently most GMs around the league do understand why these guys say this, do understand it. I think it's very bold if you're Garrett Crochet, who's before this, the most innings ever pitched in a league in a season is 51 innings, and now he's pitched 110. And his numbers are ridiculous. In 110 innings, he's got like 170 strikeouts. He's been incredible. But I don't know. If I'm the Yankees, I don't really love the idea of them taking a chance on him and giving up a Spencer Jones, because that's what it's going to take to get Garrett Crochet. And then who doesn't want to pitch in the playoffs because he's looking out for himself, which I understand him looking out for himself, but he's not going to pitch in the postseason. And then you're going to have to give him an extension if you want him to. You're giving a guy an extension who's not proven. I don't love that.
Right.
I will tell you a place where I think he winds up, and I think it could wind up being scary for them, though, and a team with a lot of money that is willing to spend it, Baltimore. They have the prospects to get it done. They have the lack of money on the books where if they give Crochet an extension and he fails that extension, it won't hurt them as much. They're not remotely close to the luxury tax. All of their good players are not remotely close to being paid, so they can afford a bad contract. And the only deal they're going to have to give out this offseason to keep their nucleus in store is Corbin Burns. That's it. That's the only big deal they're going to have to give out. And I don't think Garrett Crochet is going to cost what Corbin Burns is going to cost. So that's the team I fear wind up getting Crochet. That could be a little scary. Other than that, Lorenzen went to the Royals. It's a really solid move for a Kansas City team that wants to make a push. The Isak Paredes trade is weird to the Cubs. Just because it looked like they were out of it and it feels like now they're going to make a push and try and get in. The Cubs tend to do this kind of stuff though. So we'll see what the Cubs can do. I just wanted to get your take on, Justin Turner went to the Mariners. That's a big deal because the Mariners can really pitch, but they can't hit. So it's adding a really professional hitter to the middle of that lineup. I wanted to get your take.
The last I checked, they were losing 10-1 to the Red Sox, the Mariners on
hit.
Monday night. Yeah, no.
I wanted to get your take on this because I do find it very fascinating. The Orioles not doing much. Do you think this is a time for them to necessarily take it slow because their roster is so young and they're kind of going through a lot of growing pains? Or do you think if you're the Orioles, you go for it now? Does it scare you that they come up with Crochet? Because right now, personally, I feel like they're in the best position and they're the team that he most likely winds up with.
Yeah, it's kind of scary. I mean, it didn't feel great when they got Corbin Burns either.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But I don't know. I feel like they are very young and, the Yankees are head to head with them still after having a horrible nearly 2 months. They're still in there. And if they make a couple of more moves and if they keep playing the way they're playing, not necessarily scoring 14 runs a night, but, being like they were in April and May again and pick things up, you can see some interesting stuff happening in the AL East.
I would just say, for tomorrow, Yankee fans, keep your eyes glued to your phone because I really do believe the Yankees are making some moves, and I really think they have no option but to be aggressive.
One more quick thing. We have to discuss this just for a moment. You say Kikuchi gets traded from the Blue Jays to the Houston Astros.
And the Blue Jays are emptying house. They traded the Justin Turner move too. We'll see if Vlad gets moved. We'll see if Biggio gets moved. It looks like they're not going to move Biggio probably, but Vlad, it looks like very well could be moved.
You mean Bichette? You mean Bichette?
Yeah, Bichette. Yeah,
Biggio's with the Dodgers now.
Yeah. I don't know if they're going to wind up making moves and emptying out their entire team, but probably it looks like they're leaning more towards not having a problem with they're leaning more towards revamping their roster because they've tried this the last couple of years and it hasn't worked for them.
Yep, they're going to keep that core, especially those two, Bichette and because Vlad Jr. is not going anywhere. As much as people would love for him to, I don't think he is. I really don't.
Interesting. I don't know for sure because apparently he wants a contract extension and the Blue Jays aren't too keen in giving him one immediately.
Wouldn't that be a get?
Yeah.
That would be amazing. All right, coming up next, previewing game 2 between the Yankees and the Phillies.
PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. With the NBA season over, the hoops action doesn't stop on PrizePicks. Women's basketball is still heating up with stars like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese looking to make names for themselves, alongside greats like Breanna Stewart and Aja Wilson. You can up to 100 times your cash watching them ball out. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match of up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a deposit match of up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows that are covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now, available on the free Fire TV channels app. And remember that you can catch every pitch of the Yankees' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees. Stacey, game 2 of this Yankees-Phillies series. It'll be Tuesday at 6:40 p.m. because we can't ever have a normal start time. Garrett Cole will go up against Aaron Nola, two guys that are bona fide aces for their squad. Let me bring up the stats for both of them. Garrett Cole's numbers, again, inflated. 2 bad starts in a row. Really hard to judge what his numbers are. I'll give them to you anyway. 3-2, 5.40. Again, really not a good judgment, but just because of how his season's gone so far. Aaron Nola, who's had a full year, 11-4, 3.44 ERA, and a 1.06 WHIP. He's one of the top pitchers in all of baseball. Really hard guy to go up against. Another tough matchup, but again, they did beat up Wheeler in their first game of the series. So who knows?
Yeah, I mean, they're riding high right now. And as we said earlier, this is 4 straight games of over 7 runs, right? So just it's actually amazing how well they're scoring lately. And again, they're doing it like they did in April and May. They're scoring right away. And on the road, as you said, that is so important for the pitcher to come in with a lead instead of coming in. I mean, these guys are professionals, but it's always nice to see a number up on the scoreboard other than 0 for your team when you go in for the bottom of the first. So, we'll see if the good hitting continues tomorrow, but I'm just loving that it's not just 2 guys. They're up and down the lineup. Guys are contributing, and it's just
attack
it's so
early.
much fun to watch. It's so much fun. I missed this for the last month and a half. It was so much more fun in April and May, and it feels like that again these last few games.
Especially against these better pitchers in the league, like a Nola, like a Wheeler. You have to attack early. You have to go after these guys early on in games. These are when they're the most vulnerable. Once you let guys like a Wheeler, like a Nola, get into their groove, get into their zone, and start finding a rhythm, that's when you lose. That's when you lose against them, and that's when they start to dominate you. You have to get to these guys early. They've been doing that of late. You really like the way that they've attacked these pitchers lately, and it shows a lot of confidence too. Coming into a game where the top of your lineup is coming in and going after it and trying to attack the pitcher, that is a good thing. That shows a lot of confidence in your team. It feels like, and again, I want to be cautious in saying this, it does feel like they're starting to turn a little bit of a corner, and we did mention that in the Boston series, but it does feel like they're starting to turn a little bit of a corner. Keep proving it. Keep doing it night after night. This is a team that needs to play consistent ball, and especially if you can get out of this Phillies series, winning 2 out of 3, after winning 2 out of 3 in Boston, and now it's 2 series wins in a row, and then you go into the month of August where the schedule dramatically gets easier, it could be a really good sign and a really good role to get on going into the month of September and the closeout of the season.
Right, because we were looking at these 2 series thinking, oof, like Boston on the road, Philly on the road, like this is...
And it gets easier after that, but these were the 2 series where you were like, oof, they're going to struggle to get through that, and then hopefully it gets easier.
Yeah, and, with the way they lost on Friday night, as annoying as it was, I still felt good about the offense. And I thought to myself, okay, the pitching, yes, that's a problem. And even the way Saturday was going back and forth and stuff, but the way they pulled it out in extra innings, on the road, a thing they've been having trouble with all season. I really feel like Saturday's game kind of flipped things around just because of the way they won in Fenway. And they went into Sunday's game kind of like, all right, this is good. We can do this. And 3 wins in a row. And they've looked good in all 3 of them pretty much. So
can't ask for more, really. With the offense getting going early on in games too. Really can't ask for more. We'll see what Garrett Cole does. It's going to be a very interesting start. To see like where he's come out after having 2 bad starts in a row. I will say this, PO'd Garrett Cole is generally a good Garrett Cole.
Yeah, he was PO'd after that Mets start. So
yeah.
Ooh, like really, really, really PO'd, like slamming things. And I even thought to myself, dude, your elbow was not feeling right. Like that's why you hadn't played. So calm down. Like, you don't want to, like with Mason Miller breaking his pinky, like that's another guy. He could have been traded. Now
he still could be. It's the non-throwing pinky. So
I know, but that's still.
I'd take him.
I would too. Oh, one more thing. Let's do this. Okay. McCann from the Orioles gets hit in the face with a pitch, breaks his nose in like the first inning, and he continues to play. What do you think of this? Because I think it's ridiculous. I know that everyone's like, oh, he's so tough, blah, blah. He's a catcher.
I love it.
If he got hit with a foul tip or something and he hit his, I don't know. That's crazy.
I love it.
Rah-rah.
Hockey players lose all their teeth on the top level when they come out there and still play. I love it.
Seeing him
give
with the
baseball. I want baseball to have that roughness, that rough and tumble to it. Baseball players don't have a good reputation of being tough. Hey, Giancarlo Stanton just missed a month and a half because his hamstring got hurt. This is great.
Hey, was it hamstring or calf?
Exactly. It doesn't matter. It's a muscle in the lower body that gets out for a month and a half.
Yeah, but calves are tricky. Have you ever?
My calf hurts too. I go to work every day.
Yeah, but have you ever strained it? Because I have. It's not fun. I couldn't walk on it. That's why I missed David Cohn's perfect game. My left calf.
And I bet you wish you toughed it out.
I wish I did. He even said on the show, "Oh no, it was too hot. You were better staying home." I'm like, "No, I wasn't."
No, you weren't.
No, I wasn't. All right, one more time. You can catch every pitch of the Yankees hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees. And before we go, we want to thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen. There are a bunch of you that tell us that, and we appreciate every single one of you. But now we're going to tell you that for your second listen, you can enjoy the Locked On MLB podcast. Host Paul Sullivan, aka Sully, is here to provide you national expertise with his trademark humor to help you get ready for the MLB playoffs. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it all covered every single day on Locked On MLB. It's available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, it's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So that'll do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll catch you guys tomorrow.